I have avoided doing this video for a long time. And the reason why is because I sit down in front of the camera and I really don't know what to say. I ramble, and I just get kind of lost in the point. And I've got to do this to get myself past it so that I can kind of continue on. But January of this year, and I know it's the end of July, but January of this year I decided to only shoot one film. I decided to shoot black and white, and then I decided to only shoot one specific type of black and white film, Tri-X, for the whole year. To just, obviously I'm going to shoot digital as well because I have digital cameras, but as far as film goes, I wanted to just shoot one type of film all year long to maybe hope that I could figure out the kind of details or the nuances or whatever you want to bullcrap that you want to say about it. And another big reason was I wanted to learn how to develop my own film. And I've realized that, and it might not be the best way to develop black and white film, but for me as an entry level into the whole process, it was the easiest way of getting in, and it made the most sense for me. But there is a monobath, or it's just one solution. You get it to a certain temperature, you pour it in, you do a little razzle dazzle for about 10 seconds depending on the temperature, and then also depending on the temperatures how long you keep it in the solution for, and then you pour it back in and you can reuse it. You can reuse it, I think it's set up to like 16 times, but I probably will buy a new bottle here soon because I've lost count how many times I've done it. So I just wanted to make this video to kind of catch everything up that has happened from January to now and kind of smash it all together into one little video and put it out, and so I can kind of take the rest of this year, the end of summer, the fall, and the winter, and kind of put a little more effort into being a little more detailed and thorough with these videos. I decided to change my gear around. So before I get into the film stuff, I just wanted to take 2 seconds and kind of share something. So for the past since 2017, I've kind of been slowly growing my collection of cameras to be geared more towards business side of things, so like doing commercials or doing wedding photo shoots or whatever. And the past 2 years I've kind of wanted to step away from that. I found something that's really intrigued me, that's really piqued my interest, and I can kind of hopefully combine video work and maybe social media and tangible print like zine books and photography and film developing. I can kind of bunch it all into one thing and take all that creativity that I have towards this one idea and kind of take everything and just bunch it into that one thing, right? And it's taken me a long time to kind of get to that point. I felt kind of sporadic, and so because I've spent the last however many years building up my collection of gear to kind of be focused more towards business, the past a year and a half, I've really tried to figure out what is the best route for me and just my personal what I want to do, rather than a business side of things, right? And so I had a C70 that was my video rig, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was a great camera. But for me, what I'm gonna do, it was just too much. I don't need all of that camera. So I traded it in with a lens for the FX30 and a Sigma 18-50, I believe, 2.8. That's my video rig. Did I say Sony FX30? If not, Sony FX30 and a Sigma 18-50. So that's my video rig. My digital camera is a Canon R5. I hope to build out a pretty good bit of, like, I really want to build out a nice lens setup for that camera. Old EF lenses, even older lenses, Canon lenses, maybe a couple of RF lenses just to kind of, if I need them for whatever reason, but build it out top of the line EF glass and older stuff just for fun. And then my film side of things, I have an old Canon film camera that I want to eventually upgrade to be able to use my Canon EF glass on, to where I can have, a nice kind of somewhat modern feel 35 millimeter DSLR, whatever, not DSLR, but SLR, to pair with the modern EF glass with some of my 35 millimeter work. The other side of my 35 millimeter work is Nikon F3. So this is the other little film camera I have. I really enjoy that camera. I've got several lenses for it. I also have a Mamiya RZ67, and the hope is, I'm telling you all this just to kind of get it all out there to where you're not like, oh, I wonder what gear he uses. I'm laying it all out. I'm a normal dude that takes normal photos, that just enjoys creating things and just wants to just fill that little void of creativity in my life with something, right? So I'm just laying it all out. I've got a Mamiya RZ67 that I do my medium format on, and I hope before the end of the year to get a large format 4x5 film camera. And then in the next couple years, I want to build out a darkroom. I would love to document all of that, to be able to share on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, the whole process. But it's a little easier said than done, so. But anyway, I say all that to say, from January to July, I've only really shot I think I've shot one roll of film per month, which is really sad. I think I might have maybe 1 month had two. I just haven't had the urge and the want to really go out and shoot film lately. I've just been really intrigued by my digital setup and the different lenses and everything. So I'm hoping the later half of this year I can kind of bring that out, start doing that more, especially the medium format and then the large format, hopefully. And I hope to develop my own film throughout the year. Not develop my own film. Develop my own color film eventually, along with the black and white, and just have a full, like I said, just have a full darkroom setup, right? But I say all of that to kind of jump back and talk a little bit about my adventure into developing film. It has been a fun experience. You never, at least for me, I'm not gonna say like paint with a broad brush here, but for me, I forgot how much I enjoy learning things, and not even thinking about the aggravation or the difficulty or the learning curve. None of that comes along with learning something new. It's just that little tiny bit of joy whenever you read something or you watch something or you experience something that's brand new. And I've forgotten how much I enjoy that feeling. You get so caught up in the routine of everyday life and the things that you're gonna say yes to and say no to and be okay with and be worried about and this, that, and the other, and that whenever something new comes along and it gives you that little bit of uncertainty, you're like, I don't really know what's going on here, and then you have to work your way through that. It is so much fun. I get that with video games, but I've played video games for so long that there's obviously video games are built on the back of other video games, so there's certain things that kind of carry over into each one that you can kind of just you know what I'm saying, leapfrog into new games. You learn new things, but ultimately, overall, it's kind of the same for the most part. And yeah, it's just been really fun. I know this is gonna sound dumb, but from like figuring out how to get the film back out of the film canister to be able to put it on the spool to drop it in the developing tank, like that is just, I don't know if anybody else, so I had a film retriever tool, leader retriever, whatever it's called, and I don't know if anybody else has had as difficult of a time as I did learning how to do that, and still kind of do. But man, let me tell you, that first time you put that freaking thing in there and yank that sucker out, and that little bit of film goes boop, and it pops out. It makes that noise too, boop. It is so exciting, and putting everything in the changing bag and dark bag, whatever you want to call it, and you're in there and you're loading everything up, and you're literally thinking, this is all by touch. It's like, I know how to use my hands. I've had my hands my whole life, but it's like suddenly you can't see your hands, and you've never done what you're doing with your hands before. And so it's like, there's that weird, like, little, I don't want to screw this up because I want to see the photos, but I'm also gotta be okay if I do screw it up. So it's, I don't know, it was just really fun. And I've done, like I said, I've done it less than 10 times now. And thankfully, I've only screwed up one roll, and it was actually the latest roll that I've done. And I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's whenever you're developing the film and the solution is a certain temperature, and then whenever you rinse the film with water, I rinse my film with water, the water temperature is drastically different, I guess, than the temperature that your solution was. And so it creates this weird, like, dried mud pattern on the film, and that bummed me out because that was a roll, like I said, that took me several weeks to get through. I'm not a person that burns through rolls really quickly, so it took me a while to get through that, and so that kind of bummed me out. And there was some fun photos on that I'll just have to go back and recreate. I shot on the Canon for a while. The Canon has autofocus, and it kind of sets everything for you, like aperture, shutter speed, all of that kind of sets it for you. I kind of like being able to do that on this. I like a little more freedom to want to, change my aperture, change my shutter speed or whatever, even though most of the time I leave the shutter speed on the F3 to just automatic and just adjust my aperture. But I like that freedom to be able to kind of adjust that if I need to or if I want to. And so the Canon kind of limited me on that, and so I kind of was sad about the roll, but in a sense I was also okay to have it done so that I could move on with the next roll in the Nikon. So yeah, as you've probably seen throughout me talking, I've just been sharing videos. I'm going to share them all the way from January to July. I think I've completed a couple videos prior from January to July and have them, so there's probably going to be some duplicates of some photos, but for the most part, all of the photos that you have seen or are seeing right now were from January of this year to July. And I'm looking forward to going forward with this. I'm looking forward to my new little kit that I have to film with. I think it's going to be really, really good, a really, really good setup. Smaller, compact. I can use it in addition to my phone, which is great. And just trying to slowly be a little more detail oriented and a little better about making these videos a little more interesting, I've been afraid to sit down and talk too much because I know I can talk for a long time and ramble, but this video I needed to just kind of get all of that talking out so that when the next video comes, it can be a little more precise to what's happening at that moment. The last thing I'm going to say is I do hope to do a little bit different of videos in the future. I'm a really big fan of video essays on YouTube. People's video essays I've watched video essays on a lot of different things, but I thought about dipping my toes into the video essay format and seeing how if I could do it. So yeah, I'm gonna give that a shot. Now that I have this little camera, it's a little easier to move it around, compact, so it's gonna be great. And yeah, and I hope that this camera that I'm talking on and this camera and all my other cameras are gonna take me to some really fun, really interesting places the last half of this year. So, alrighty, adios.